I'm Sheba Turk, and welcome to Stay Lit. Hello, everyone, and I'm so excited for the very first episode of my new series. It's called Stay Lit, as in literature. My first guest is Jaunique Sealy. If you read her books, then you may know her as Jayne Allen. Thank you so much for being here with me.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to be here. So guys, Stay Lit, I should explain a little bit. If you follow me, you know that I'm a journalist, but I love to read. And my idea of turning up is reading a book, which I think a lot of authors can relate to.
Of course.
Okay, so we're gonna start with a warm up here. And I know this is gonna be very hard for you. What is your favorite book of all time?
Oh my gosh, my favorite book of all time right now is The Alchemist. It changes based on where I am in my journey. And so right now I'm on an alchemist kind of journey.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to start with an appropriate first question. Now we need to know your favorite turn up song because this is called Stay Lit.
Gosh. Oh gosh. What's that song with Beyonce and it's Nicki Minaj? And she's like, rah.
Beyonce and Nicki Minaj is I'm feeling myself.
Yeah,
I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling my okay, I got it.
You're just like, I'm hungry. Yeah, that's my song.
I love that one. We'll have to do karaoke next time. And then if you're out drinking, favorite drink?
Oh, this also changes with my mood.
Yes.
But right now I am doing the bitters, the sort of Aperol Spritz kind of Negroni vibe.
Okay.
Amalfi Coast.
Oh.
This is my Amalfi Coast era.
Okay, real grown and sexy then. Take us to the Amalfi Coast. I love it. But what we're here to talk about is your books, which I must say, visually, they caught my attention because they're just absolutely stunning. For those not familiar, I love your series. Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, Black Girls Must Be Magic, and Black Girls Must Have It All.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite series that I read in the past few years. And you know this because I DM'd you. You guys know I do book reviews. This is an expansion of me loving to read and talk about books. And I DM'd you after I read this book. And I know you thought I was a crazy person. Do you remember that?
I did not. I thought it was amazing. I was so excited. I was like, this is like a real life Tabitha.
And that was the point. I DM'd her, guys, because her main character, Tabitha Walker, works in news in Los Angeles, is a Black woman who was struggling with bringing her hair natural on TV. And I thought, does this lady know me? Like, how did she write this book that is my life? But I also, as I was reading it, I was like, I wonder how many other Black women feel seen and heard from reading this book.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you come up with this character? Who is Tabitha?
Well, Tabitha was the vehicle for the story. Mm-hmm. The title I'll start with because that was kind of this moment that happened. I came from corporate America. I'm a full-time author now, but before I was fully immersed in corporate America. And I remember sitting in a boardroom as the only Black and only female executive in the boardroom and discussing an issue that I tried to propose a solution preemptively. It's like, let me solve this problem before it happens, was completely ignored. And I knew I was going to be asked to solve the problem that I was trying to avoid. So I was ignored. And then I knew that I was going to be called on to solve the problem. And in that moment, I thought, Black Girls Must Die Exhausted.
Oh my goodness. And you know, I read the title and felt that too. I was like, I'm so tired. We're all tired.
I'm so exhausted. So I was like, you know, this is a story. And I started thinking about, I had already started thinking about a story where it was valuable to have a Black female perspective. And this moment happened and this thing started bubbling. And so Tabitha came about because I needed a Black female character who wasn't so, not swashbuckling, just surviving every day. And so having her in the newsroom added this additional layer of societal scrutiny so I could amplify it. Because what I found for Black women, for us in particular, we carry so much that we become desensitized to it. So the everyday kind of slights and things that happen without some kind of amplification would kind of just go unnoticed. So I needed to ratchet it up and have what we have is the audience, basically. So Tabitha has this sort of antagonist that is the audience. And the audience amplifies societal scrutiny and the friction that we typically feel as Black women. And so that was where kind of her role, her position, her job, and sort of some of the things about her came about to tell the story.
I love that. She's such an interesting character, and I think she does capture Black professional women so perfectly. We've talked about a lot of the discrimination with her hair, being a Black woman in the workplace. It's such a specific conversation that I find only other Black professional women, right, know these struggles. And we all kind of have the same wants in her personal life.
Sure.
She wants to have it all. She wants to have a great relationship. She wants to have a kid. Like many Black professional women, she hasn't found that person yet. She's getting older. She wants to have a baby. You capture all of this in this character.
Yeah, I was trying to make it authentic, and I was like, wow, this person is so unseen. For the fiction that I'd seen before, when you see a Black character, she's got crinkly hair, or she's got this spunky attitude. And then you wonder, well, why does she have a spunky attitude? You know, what is that? Is that a defense mechanism? And if she has crinkly hair, then that means that she wore it to work, and that's a thing. Like, that's not a nothing. But oftentimes, and before this, in contemporary literature, when you see like sort of the Black sidekick character, all of these attributes would be described, but not made significant and given no meaning. When in actual life, those things have meaning. So if you have a Black woman who has natural hair in a non-Black workplace, that's a thing. She had a lot of courage. She had to stand in the mirror, and I know this because I did it. And writing these books, that was the first time after I wrote the books wearing my hair natural to work. And I had to stand in the mirror with myself in the morning before I went to the office for the first time and talk myself into the decision I had made again for the 20th time. So there's a story there. There's a story of a heroic journey, a hero's journey in the ordinary, in the everyday. So that was what was really important to me to tell and put a Black woman in that position, someone that you would meet anywhere.
Yeah. No, it must be hard to try to capture a Black woman in one story, because I feel like this is for Black people, right? We feel like, okay, we have to carry the weight and make this perfect Black character. Did you struggle with that? Because like I go through Goodreads to see what other people think about books that I'm reading, and there was a lot of love for Tabitha. There's also a lot of criticism of Tabitha, but she was a character. You wanted to make her a full person. Did you struggle with not making her perfect so that we would have a perfect Black woman character?
Yeah, I did. Well, I didn't struggle because I really, in fiction, you've got to have a flawed character.
Yeah.
And I didn't, this was before writing this, I had no idea what it would be like to deal with readers and that criticism and how art is received and what a lightning rod it can be. So that's probably good.
Because once you feel it, every sentence you write, you're like, I wonder what people are going to think.
The girls are going to get me on.
They're going to get me. Yeah.
but I just, because this was my first novel, I had no idea. I was kind of blissfully ignorant about what the experience of art is like. And so I just did what was in my heart. And I wrote a character that I wanted to see on the page. And there were issues. For example, the fertility issue, that was something that I had dealt with. I had fibroids, I froze my eggs. I didn't realize I should have done it sooner. And for me, if I'm going to tell a story, and I know that a lot of my readers are going to be Black women, I want to show them something that maybe in life they wouldn't necessarily see or think about, but we can explore it together through this character who is imperfect, who's going to make mistakes. And so you don't have to live those mistakes. Tabitha's going to do it for you.
Please teach us. Lead the way, Tabitha.
Let Tabitha do it, So, and her friends, because, but that's what fiction's for. It's about exploring other lives lived or other lives that could be lived or that you don't want to live.
Yeah.
And for me as an author, that's really what I love doing. I like taking little bits of life that I've seen and experienced and sew the tapestry into a story that hopefully for my reader is going to feel like an additional life lived that they didn't have to pay for.
Yeah.
Except for maybe whatever the book costs.
Which
is relatively cheap.
Worth every penny. And we get invested in all the characters, the grandmother, the friends, and then of course the lover, who of course keeps me infuriated. He wants to be with her 1 second, not the next. He loves her, he's not in love with her. He's got too much going on. I had fun though with all of these characters, but every single one of them frustrate me for a different reason.
Oh my gosh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I love them all, and they were all challenging to write for different reasons. So.
Talk about the love interest.
Oh, Mark.
Because you make Mark so complicated.
Oh, honey. Yeah. Well,
Mark doesn't know what he wants, and then sometimes he does, and then some days he doesn't.
Some days he doesn't. And I called this the epitaph of my 30s.
Okay.
Or to my 30s. I'm well into my 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And in my 30s, I spent so much time focused on sort of who I was supposed to be and was I measuring up to that.
Mm.
And part of that conventionally is, are you going to get married? Are you going to be a wife?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that, regardless of all of the other accomplishments, seems to be this thing that's a common refrain with family members and everywhere. And so I was driving myself crazy with that. But the people that I was encountering as potential mates, they were very much like Mark. And I think in my 30s, because I wanted what I wanted so badly, I did not give myself the opportunity to see Mark as a human being. Like that character, those people, I saw, were they showing up how I needed them to show up or not?
Yeah.
And so writing Mark gave me the opportunity to explore the humanity of this person who I might not have gotten a chance to in the same way, to have more grace for this person, to have more understanding for this person, to really flesh out their humanity a little bit more and give them more latitude in a way that's not as destructive as maybe it was for Tabitha, but or also for me in my 30s, but just to really kind of play it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
So
there's so many great characters. I was going to ask who you think should play Tabitha if this were headed to TV, but I've read that your books are headed to TV. Is that true?
So, yes, they are.
Congratulations.
They are.
When are we going to see it on the screen?
So hopefully there will be news later this year.
Awesome.
I will say that, but it is actively in development.
That's so exciting.
I had a call about it today.
Yay!
But yeah, there's a team of extraordinarily passionate people working on it. They all love these stories. They all love these books. They all understand and have internalized what this represents and what it needs to be. So I'm really thrilled about that. And I just, for me, I've spent so much time with so many readers. There's a standard that I know has to be upheld.
Listen.
So I just sit in the room and I'm like, look, the girls.
Okay? The girls are going to show up.
The girls are going to show up.
Do you have in your head who should be Tabitha?
No. I have no idea.
Even when you were writing?
No.
Interesting.
No, you could be Tabitha.
Okay.
I'm just like, I had no idea. I'm like, is there a real life person going through this?
That's amazing. Yeah, I told you, it's my exact life. I'm even you made Tabitha the exact age I was when I read the books. I'm still not convinced you didn't write this about me, but
maybe we were like somehow
connected in another way.
But I don't know. I hope you didn't go through all that drama because
I did.
And if so, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. That and some more. Okay.
I'm so sorry.
We have so much more to talk about. I'm so excited that you are here. We want to get to know you better because you've dropped lawyer, engineer, all these things. You're all of that and more. Okay, so let's take a quick break and we'll talk about that. All right, guys, this is Stay Lit, and we are here with Jaunique Sealy, who you may know as Jayne Allen. She writes with a pen name, and I do want to know everything about you because I love your book series. So why the pen name?
So when I first started these books, the title Black Girls Must Die Exhausted, I gave the story earlier about being in a corporate boardroom. I was in a really, really conventional, like super traditional corporate environment. And I just did not have the latitude to put out something called Black Girls Must Die Exhausted and support it in a way that I felt free to do. So I didn't want to give myself any excuses. And I learned a long time ago being in LA that sometimes when you want to do a new thing, you have to use a new name, change your name.
Okay.
And so I created that. it was something that's close enough to my name, Jaunique. My name is Jaunique Allen. So Jayne Allen is close enough.
Okay.
And so it was just a way to give myself permission as a permission space to just move ahead in something I felt uncomfortable with at the time.
Nice. So it made you feel safer, but you're sticking with it.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're like, this is just my writer name now.
I feel like people kind of know already, and so now I've started this way. So
because sometimes even when I go to message you, I'm like, wait, Jayne, Jaunique. Jaunique.
Everybody,
they're one person.
People in my life, there are people now that just call me Jayne, and I'm like,
huh. Well, if you had a different name for the different iterations of you, there'd be a million because let's go back through all the things I found on you.
Many lives.
You went to Harvard Law School.
I did.
Okay. You went to Duke and got an engineering degree.
I did.
Also a stand-up comic.
Sometimes.
You've also worked on court TV.
I did. Yeah.
What is this? I started looking you up, expecting you to have just written your entire life. So this wasn't the plan to be an author.
I had no idea I was coming. I think back to when I was in English class. I hated English.
You're kidding. What?
I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I have to write. I remember in college, I thought I was going to go to med school, so I was going to be an engineering major. And then I found out I decided I wanted to go to law school. And then I stayed in engineering just to not have to write a thesis by switching to the liberal arts school.
Wow.
I thought you had to write a thesis, which you didn't, but that was like some, whatever rumor. But I stayed in engineering just to not write a thesis.
Get out of here.
No, I was afraid of it. When I think back to it, I wonder how many other people have that experience, that maybe the thing that's for them is what they're most afraid of.
Interesting.
It really felt so daunting to me. So and then for law school, you do have to write a thesis, graduate from Harvard Law, and you're supposed to be like a research paper. And I was like, I don't want to do a research paper. I want to write a novel.
What?
So I negotiated with my thesis advisor to write a novel. It started driving me crazy. And so I switched it to a screenplay. They approved it. So my thesis for graduation from law school is a screenplay. And I graduated thinking, I'm going to be a television writer. I don't know where I came up with this.
Okay.
And that did not work out.
I think you made out just fine. It's crazy how people's brains work, though. You're in Harvard Law, and you know what's so scary? Writing a paper. Like, most of us are the opposite way around. I think we'd write the paper.
I was so intimidated by it. I was like, I can do numbers, I can do structure, I can do, give you some equations, I can tell you I can build you a bridge or a building, but I don't think I can structure you a story. I just didn't think, and I also thought that for fiction, I thought people were like kissed by the angels or something, and those are who became authors. Yeah. And then, I learned that that's not necessarily the case.
How did you find your way to writing these books?
Well, I started writing nonfiction books. I started practicing. So I worked in the music industry, and I had some spare time during the day, but I'd have to be in my office. So to stay sane, I would write. I was like, I'm going to, write a book. I'm going to try to write a book. I never published the book. I just wanted to see if I could put a complete idea into a format, a readable format. So I did that. That was practice number one. And then I started writing these nonfiction books about things that I thought were important, like social media. Okay. Yeah, social media branding. So I wrote that in like 2010 or 2012, 2011, something like that. I don't remember. But it was after I worked for Lady Gaga. So she had the Born This Way album. I had a whole experience, digital strategy with her. Oh, okay. And I condensed it into what I thought people needed to know about social media. So I would do things like that. Okay. Put these little blips out. And then finally, somebody said, if you really want to do something for someone or want them to know something, then tell them a story. And so I thought, wow, well, with these nonfiction books, I felt like I was sharing what I'd learned in life, like these little, milestones. Like, oh, I learned about social media. Let me share that with people. Or I learned about resilience. Let me share that with people. So I was like, well, what can I do for myself and those similarly situated that is going to be a healing kind of like salve, like something that is going to, I don't know, just I wanted to like hug everybody, especially how I felt. I would, if I could just like take everybody that felt like I felt and just give them a hug, like it's going to be all right. That was what the book was meant to be. So that was what made me, that was what made me decide I was going to start to try to write fiction. And I took classes. So I was like, well, I'm a lifelong learner. I'm really big on education. I must be able to learn how to do it. So that was the first little light bulb that I'll just take a class and figure out what even this whole novel writing thing is.
Okay, I'm going to tap in for the aspiring writers now. What class did you take? What class did you take if we want to be you?
I think that I took classes at UCLA. I remember that.
Just like fiction writing class.
Fiction writing class. So I took novel writing. The one thing that I will say about this is, in general, story is structure.
Mhm.
Novels are structured. Should be structured. Now,
Mhm.
they're art as well, and people do all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
But from my perspective, and it's the way my mind works, I'm a very left brain, right brain person.
Mhm.
I feel like a readable book that somebody's going to start and finish and enjoy to some degree has some has structure to it. And so if I were an aspiring writer today, or when I counsel aspiring writers or I'm
Mhm.
teaching, I always teach structure. Structure, structure, structure. And you can hang any kind of story onto the skeleton framework of a
Mhm.
good story structure, and you'll be halfway there.
Awesome. So you teach writing now
I do.
or do workshops
I do.
on Instagram. I feel like this is my reminder that I signed up for one and I
You
don't.
did. You need to
forgot what I was
revisit.
supposed to do. Every step. Literally sitting here, I was like, she does teach classes because I signed up for it. And that was the last I remembered. Okay, my brain is fried, but I'm going to rejoin. This is going to be my reminder. What do you teach and what do those workshops look like?
Well, I started teaching during the pandemic, and I thought this is a way to give back to people during this time. Like we'll just, on Sundays, I hopped on Instagram Live. I was like, I'm going to teach topics. You give me questions. I'll just hang out with y'all. Like, so this is what I'm doing. My like Sunday service work. And so a lot of people came with, their questions. And then, so a good friend of mine, we decided we would launch just a one-off kind of writing weekend workshop where the idea was to get your story situated. And then we did another one for marketing. And so then I decided I was going to go ahead and build out a whole curriculum. So it's called Book Genius. I taught my first full year last year. So it was 5 classes and then 2 writing challenges. And the idea is over the course of a year, you will have your book situated, your marketing plan situated, and your business plan situated. So the courses, each of the 5 courses kind of cover marketing, story structure, character development, book publishing business 101.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the focus of what the Book Genius curriculum is, because I'm very much outcome oriented. I'm like, I want you to start and finish.
Nice.
So that was the encapsulation of everything I've learned.
That's beautiful. You mentioned publishing. Let's talk about that because aspiring writers are always like, great, I could write something, but then how do I get it published?
Yes.
You actually self-published these books first, which I did not know. So tell us the journey to having them published.
I wrote the manuscript. So I took the classes. It took me about 2 years to create a manuscript that I felt really good about.
Okay.
And then the next step is to query agents. So I did that. I queried agents and I went to agents who I felt like understood Black authors and the perspective and the exigency and the exigent need for Black stories at that time. Now this is 2018.
Okay.
So this is pre-George Floyd. We're at a different time. So the responses I received, when I did receive a response, was that the character was not relatable or not like Tabitha. It was not relatable, not likable. We don't love this. So I was just like, wow. Well, to me, Tabitha's a very relatable person. I know a ton of Tabithas. Right. So for me, this sounded like, and publishing is 95%, I believe, white.
Yeah, that's why this is not surprising.
So, right. So culturally, I felt like this is sort of invisible. And so knowing this from other entertainment spaces I've been in, I'm like, this is bias. And there's no villains here, but I don't need to make this a roadblock. I can move forward anyway. And I know I have the resources. I took $20,000 in my savings. I invested it into the books.
Wow.
I did everything that a traditional publisher would do. And I made sure that the quality level and the level of excellence reflected was going to be the highest I could muster. From cover design to book layout. I just was so thoughtful. And to the extent that I even was focused on what size the book was going to be, because I wanted it to feel like a purse. Wow. Like an accessory in your hand. So all of that, fast forward, I put it out. I did all of the things. I mean, this could go on forever and tell you all the things I did, but it wound up selling 20,000 copies. So by fast forward to 2020, which is more than a lot of traditionally published books sell. And after George Floyd, there was a renewed appetite and a different perspective around this type of content. And I wound up meeting my agent through an introduction, Lucinda Halpern. She's amazing. She just had released a book, actually, which kind of tells the story of how to get an agent.
Oh, awesome.
In this story. But she got it right away. And so she said, let me work on this for you. She's like, usually traditional publishing doesn't pick up books that have already been self-published, but I'm gonna try. And so she went out and she tried, and 3 weeks later, she had a 4-book deal on the table with HarperCollins.
Oh my God.
All 3 of the Black Girls series books, plus a standalone novel.
That's amazing. So wait, how many of these books have you sold now?
Oh God, there's like over 300,000 copies in print.
The oh God was all I needed. Oh God.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, this on top of that, so it's there's like been worldwide demand. I get tagged in, I don't know, I've all like Africa, like Tanzania,
all over
Zambia,
the world.
all over the world. It's been translated into Portuguese.
Wow.
I get posts from incredible readers in Brazil, and I can't understand.
Oh,
but I'm like,
God.
it's. I get a translator, so I have a translator app so that I can read what the Brazilian readers have to say. It's been so beautiful. There's an incredible community that has been created by these books, and I just get to see it. And I feel so blessed to be able to just watch it unfold. I see it happen on social media. I go to book club meetings sometimes and sit with readers.
Oh, that's great.
It's just been one of the most beautiful experiences in my entire life.
I love this so much, and I hope that one of the agents who told you Tabitha wasn't relatable is watching this. I'm petty. We're gonna take a break, but we have to talk about this amazing celebration of Blackness in the book, and I have a fun game for you, so we're gonna do that in a second. I'm with one of my favorite authors, Jaunique Sealy, and I'm so excited for this conversation. I'm loving learning so much about you. I love that you stood up for this character, for Blackness. You know, you talked about publishing, and they said, hey, this is not a relatable character. You being a Black woman were like, yes, it is. I think, right? They just may not understand that.
Right.
A lot of people would have gone and rewritten this character to appeal more to a white audience. Why didn't you do that?
Because I learned in the music industry. So I think I told you that I worked for Prince at one point.
Yeah, casually, that you were Prince's lawyer. Yes, you did.
And he did mention me, and before I even knew I was going to be an author, there were conversations we had, and he basically told me to just move forward, move ahead with whatever it was that my vision was, and to own it. And so that was in the back of my mind. I'm like, why is he telling me this? But I realized he was preparing me for something later to come. And so there's a certain fearlessness that you have to have. And I think that was really the overwhelming message, that you have to be fearless as an artist and as an author and with your vision. And when you have a vision, it's usually your real vision is going to be ahead of everybody else, because it's your vision. It's a vision. And it's and you decide if you're going to be part of it coming forth or not. And if you are going to do that, if you are going to be an artist and you are going to step forward and you are going to bring that vision to fruition, it is going to take courage, because nobody's going to see it but you. It's your vision. And so for me, I just knew for a fact, I knew who I was doing this for, and it was me and others similarly situated. If it was 10, cool. If it was 10,000, cool. It's over 300,000.
Right, exactly.
It's and growing.
Whole lot more
it continues to go, but at the time, that wasn't the biggest point of it. It was just that I was attached by belief in what I was doing and why. I had a very strong why, and I was very clear on who it was for and what it was about.
You've spoken a little bit about the criticism. I know that part is hard. Hello, TV person, author. I'm sure you have gone online just like I do on Goodreads and see what people say. Is there, though, a negative criticism you get consistently that you'd like to respond to?
Negative. I don't spend so much time with negative criticism. I do remember I spent one day reading my 1-star reviews. It was like the worst experience of my whole life.
God, why would you do that?
I don't know why I did that.
What did you uncover? Please share.
I realized that people weren't writing about my book. They were just feeling negative and projecting. And so I realized,
Yeah.
oh, you can be a lightning rod in this way. And so you have to protect your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I just remember I was in a book club meeting.
Okay.
And a woman said, I just have a question. Why is Tabitha so annoying? And I was like, okay. And it was a Black woman. And I said, well, what I realized for us as Black women is that oftentimes we don't have the grace, whether it's grace from ourselves
Mm-hmm.
or from society at large or our family, our mothers or our friends, to just be indecisive,
Mm-hmm.
just to not have it all together.
Yeah.
So sometimes that projection of our own experiences happens to the character, and we don't actually get the space for grace that we really need. And that might be why that is troubling to you, because she requires grace. And so do you. So do all of us.
I love that, because I did read through some of the good reads, because I was like, I don't want to just do this interview based on me being obsessed with the books. What did people like? What did they not like? And I saw many people say Tabitha was annoying, and I was a little surprised. A lot of it was Black women, but it made me want to ask you what it's like carrying the weight, again, of trying to create a character that is a Black woman, because I found many of them saying, well, oh, I get it. Yeah, this is Black woman. I know Black women like this. I didn't learn anything new. And I thought what I appreciated most was she wasn't trying to teach me about Black people.
Right.
She was trying to represent me. I felt seen and heard. And it did seem that some Black people, and white as well, were just annoyed with her as a person, because it was like, oh, well, we want more from her. And I was like, well, this actually feels like how y'all critique Black women. She's not doing anything wrong, and she's annoying you. She's literally just navigating her life and working hard and trying to balance home and life. And I was
exhausting to have to be everything to everybody. Right?
Clearly, I was tired for Tabitha.
Right, but I think the other thing, when I've been doing this now for 6 years, plus, and I'm just about my craft as a writer. I'm like, people are gonna feel how they feel about a character, and if they feel strongly, that's great, because I did my job.
Exactly.
But what I realized, especially at the time that this book came about, there wasn't a lot else to compare to.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, or fortunately, people look to the one thing that's there as sort of the totality of all things that need to be represented. Like, well, why didn't you do all of this for us?
Yes.
And it's like, well, no, I'm opening the door so that somebody else can do it. Let somebody else do it.
You can't create Tabitha and Tasha and Terry. Let somebody else make those. You made Tabitha.
I made Tabitha. Yeah. And there's a scene where she and her grandmother speak about what it's like to be Black, what it's like to be white. And I did, when I was writing that scene, I had to tell myself, this is just one person. This is her. This is one character speaking, and this is just to another character. This is not representative of all Blackness. So what she is going to say has to come from her. Yeah. And it has to be what she would say. And what her grandmother is going to say has to come from her grandmother. And I know I've seen critique, people are like, well, her grandmother, and it's like, this is a character. It's a character. And it's all meant, it has to be imperfect. If you want to read about saints, open the Bible. Like, this is fiction. Yep. And it's not a model for morality. It's in fact about human beings coming to something imperfect and going through some kind of journey of perfecting, not perfection, but healing, perfecting, improving, growing, learning. That's what these stories are about. So you'll never, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, like, it's not the model human here. Yeah, yeah. This is just somebody that you can see them bump around and figure things out and maybe pick something up from, or at the worst, just be entertained. Exactly. Have a great time.
Tabitha did annoy me when she said she wanted Mark all the time, and then she didn't know if she wanted Mark, and I was like, you know what, girl? If this was my friend, I would be done with her. But also, I felt like that's when I connected more with the book, because I'm like, oh, this is a real person. She's not going to do everything I want her to do perfectly. The entire story. Yeah. And that's the story of it. And I think you go on the journey with her and she finds her way. She's going to make mistakes. And that's kind of the magic of writing fiction. It's like to have a character that you can allow to make mistakes or let them go where they're going to go. Kind of like a parent, where you're like, okay, we want you to make improvement, we want you to grow. And as long as that's happening, you want to have a little bit of a meandering path, because it's interesting and it's human.
So, and I hope that she gives permission to other people to, and I've heard that from readers that, you know, okay, I felt seen, and I felt like, oh, I can, you know, make some explorations that I maybe wasn't thinking about.
I love that, giving us grace in our real lives.
Of course.
All right, I still have this game for you, and we're going to end talking about your new book. We'll do that coming up. Okay, I've loved spending time with you, and I've been saying that I love that your books are such a beautiful celebration of Blackness, right? From this professional Black woman character to her amazing grandmother to being a Black woman in the workplace, natural hair. I mean, there were so many moments where I was just like, yes, a story for us. So I created a fun game for you.
Okay.
I said, you know what? I want to know Jaunique's take on the most popular Black Twitter debates.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, so are you ready for these?
Okay.
Monica or Brandy?
Oh, Lord. Well, I'm going to say that's hard to.
No, it's not hard. Go ahead.
Oh,
what you got?
gosh.
Everybody's
The Boy
leaning
Is
in.
Mine had 2 of them on there.
Yes, it did.
I will say I actually was probably more of a Brandy person when I was in
you
my
don't have to cringe, stand
adolescence,
tall.
But I love Monica.
Of course,
I love
we
her
love
too.
both of them,
Yeah.
but you know, the debate.
But the songs that I think Brandy, I was rocking more Brandy.
Okay.
Full Moon, come on.
Okay. Friday or next Friday?
Next Friday.
Me too. Okay. Is Cheesecake Factory okay for a first date?
Okay, yes.
Okay.
What the brown bread and all the drinks?
Yeah, the
Yes.
brown bread.
Look,
Okay.
the brown
I'm
bread.
crying. That my dad used to call chocolate bread, but we'll leave it at that. A whole other thing. Dinner with Jay-Z or $500,000?
Oh Lord. Dinner with you know what?
And I've seen different versions of this, 550,
I
whatever.
would definitely take the money.
Take the money. I think
If
Jay-Z's
Jay-Z
even
had a
said,
check
take the
for
money.
me, then
right.
we would have dinner.
Thank you. Okay, right. Over the $500,000 check. Thank you. Do you rinse your chicken before you cook it?
I do.
As you should. Even though science apparently says we shouldn't.
Well, that's
Do
okay.
you use a washcloth or no washcloth when you bathe?
I'm Black. Come on.
I'm just checking. You know,
No.
sometimes the card gets revoked.
Absolutely.
Whitney Houston or Marvin Gaye's national anthem?
Oh. Geez. Well, I feel like the Whitney Houston version is pretty much like has become the official version.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with Whitney Houston, although I have love for Marvin Gaye.
Of course. That was the right answer. Do you know how biased I am on these? Drums versus flats.
Oh. You know, I'm a drums person.
Me too. Okay, twin girl.
You know?
Who eats first between your husband, your mother, your children, or yourself? All theoretical.
Oh, well,
eats
there's
first in
how
the
I
family.
was raised,
Okay.
and then there's how I am today.
Please give us both.
So, wait, what were the choices?
Husband, mother, children, and yourself.
Well, if I cooked it, I'm probably going to eat it first.
Okay, ma'am. Say that then.
If I cooked it. But my mom, I don't know, maybe my mom liked to cook together. So,
Okay. All right.
yeah, but husband, kids, I don't have kids yet. I do have a partner.
Yeah.
And, you know, he gets in where he fits in, but he didn't get served first.
You are hilarious. Okay, now we know. Salt or sugar in your grits. Don't let me down here.
Oh, girl, salt.
Thank God.
I'm from
Don't put
Detroit.
me-
We
You're
don't
from
do that.
Detroit, okay? Because we didn't even get to where you were
south.
from.
The sugar, yeah, the
Okay.
sugar's down south.
Okay.
So,
No,
yeah.
no, we're not claiming that.
Is it?
I'm from New Orleans. We don't put sugar in the grits.
Oh, well,
I don't know who does that.
I think it's okay. So my dad's from North Carolina, and I think that might be some North
Oh, a
Carolina,
different South.
Atlanta,
Okay.
Atlanta, North Carolina.
All right, I just had to clear my name.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
No.
we don't do that.
No, down south. When I say down south, that's like North Carolina.
All right, that's why I was
North
like another part,
and
North Carolina.
Atlanta.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. What is your zodiac sign? Because I always think it's fun guessing people's signs.
What do you think it is?
Whew. You've given me a lot. You're so detail-oriented, organized.
You're gonna get it wrong.
It's wrong.
You're going the wrong direction. I can tell.
Really?
What is it giving?
It was giving Virgo.
Nope. See, no.
Oh.
Totally opposite.
But you're kind of fun. Totally opposite of Virgo. Something fun then.
Totally. Aquarius.
I'm an Aquarius!
See, that's
Now I
you
know.
understand.
Because y'all be in my DMs acting crazy. I was in her DMs acting crazy. I was like, wait, I must talk to you. We're the same person. And you wrote, you know what? This is crazy.
See, but Aquarians, we connect. We're connected
It's
to
so
everybody.
true. You know, my other dream author interview is Tabitha Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Read her
She's
book and the
Aquarius,
same thing was doing this. I was like, amening, like, this person is me, this person is me, this person writes for me. I love them. DM'd her too. She's an Aquarius as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Oh, we're the best
We're
people in the world. I
connected.
should have known
That's-
that's why I loved you.
See?
See, okay, we gotta leave here, but tell us about your new novel, which I'm so excited for.
my
It's coming out Christmas time?
gosh. It's coming, I think it's October.
Okay, great.
Oh, I love this book.
Okay.
So, and I wrote it, I know, but honestly,
You should love it.
no, I love it. So it's The Holiday meets Such a Fun Age.
And The Holiday is
Holiday,
like
the
literally one of my
movie.
favorite
Such a Fun
movies
Age.
with Kate Winslet.
Yes.
And, okay.
Okay, but this has brown people, a black female protagonist.
Ooh.
And I also have a white female protagonist. They swap places. So Ramona Tucker's from Chicago.
Mhm.
She is pretending to still be engaged.
Oh, wow.
She's still planning her wedding. And she thinks that they're going to get back together. And the only way that this plan falls apart is if she has to stay and go to her mother's holiday party, her Christmas party. So she's got it. If she escapes, she can make it through the holiday. Nobody finds out. She can keep planning her wedding.
Okay.
And they'll get back together, she thinks.
Okay.
Chelsea Flint, she is my white protagonist in Malibu. She was like a rock star artist. Her star was on the way up, and then she lost her parents tragically. And so she wound up moving into the house that she inherited in Malibu. And because her art career kind of bottomed out, she now has to rent the place to cover the taxes quickly.
Okay.
Like she is in an emergency situation.
Okay.
So this just so happens very conveniently that Ramona can escape to Chelsea's place, and Chelsea can go and stay in Ramona's place. And so in each other's lives, they find the things that they didn't know they needed.
Oh, I love this already.
Yeah, and there's a little twist.
Okay.
That one of the neighbors, when Ramona gets to Malibu, calls the patrol on her.
Oh, wow.
So she doesn't know who called, and the story kind of unfolds with a little twist there.
We
so
love that
it's
you're
a
going to give
lot
us
of
a
fun.
twist. It's called The Most Wonderful Time?
Yes, there is romance, there is steamy, hot steam.
Because you give us a little bit of everything.
There's a little bit of everything in there. You'll laugh out loud. You'll go surfing.
Because you don't disappoint and you write for us. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you so much for being my first guest on Stay
This has been so fun.
This was a blast.
Time.
And it's so nice to meet you. I'm giving you your flowers now.
Oh, thank you.
Because I know the trajectory is only up from here.
Well, I'm so proud of you. So I'm just excited.
Thank you. Aquarius Love Fest.
That's
Let's just have a little
I
love
know,
fest. It's fine.
I know.
Thank you.